Hey, we are back for another review of Sisters. We're on season 9, episode 11, entitled Surprise, Surprise. And I'm just going to preface you with saying everybody tapped on my last nerve this episode. So let's just jump right into it. So we see Hayden, and he is rubbing it in Andy's face that Fatima is getting all these gifts from Chaz, from her clientele, her basketball clients, pseudo clients, because we know she's not licensed. We've been reminded of that last episode. Either way, he's like, when you could barely get, a stale donut out of any of your clients, like, you got to be jealous. So basically what he's trying to do is he's seeing the little minor cracks that are happening in the relationship with Andy and Fatima, and he's trying to magnify those and make those bigger. Of course, Andy's not showing him, even though she may or may not feel a certain kind of way. She's not showing Hayden that information, that she feels how she feels. And then he goes on to tell her that also, hey, while I'm here, you're wasting your time pursuing that case against Dr. Cruz, because I don't know if you knew, but that's my homeboy. And she looked like, okay, I'll bite. Like, okay, how do you know Dr. Cruz? And he was like, I just had dinner with him and his wife last night. He needed a tax accountant, and Benson, which is one of the partners, the one that already gave Andy grief about this case, he needed a tax accountant, he needed a tax lawyer, and he recommended me, and he told me to keep it under wraps because he feels like you have a thorn in your side about Dr. Cruz, so he told me to keep it under wraps. He told me to say nothing about it, even though here you are saying something about it. Anyway, that is how we got here. So, moving right along. We see Karen, and she's ready to hold baby Faith. She told her mom, I'm ready to hold my baby, whatever. So we have a moment where they're just kind of sitting there, just kind of doting over the baby. And it's as if she's meeting the baby for the first time. You can see the love in her eyes. You can see where she's comforting the baby, putting the baby down in the crib, all this other stuff. She seems to be excited to finally see her. And by see her, I mean like being in her conscious mind and being able to revel and enjoying the fact that this is, you grew this baby from scratch, and, this is yours. And then she tells the baby that she's perfect, and she reminds her that her and her sister will be together forever. Now, by the end of this episode, that makes you a little worried, because girl, together forever, where are we going? Either way, they even have a moment where it's just her and the baby, and they're just, again, just kind of getting to know one another. And I assume that she's coming to terms with the fact that everything is going to be okay. Now, by the end of the episode, you're left wondering what level of okay they're going to be at. But I hope that's not it. But we'll get there. All right. Andy's talking to Mr. Benson, and she's asking him, like, hey, is Dr. Cruz a client of ours? Of course, now we know that Hayden had told me what you told him not to tell nobody. Whatever. And she is like, listen, you told me to get more evidence on Dr. Cruz. I got more evidence. There's more brown and black people that's been neglected and or dying under his watch. What's up? And now that he's a client, Benson is like even more against like this whole lawsuit talk that Andy is talking about. And Benson is like, listen, I don't want to hear anything about the pending case or anything. She's like, well, listen, his name ain't even, Andrew Cruz or whatever the first name is. He's under a new last name. There's a lawsuit that's currently in place in Alabama. He's fleeing when the cases come about. You don't want to hear none of that. He's like, nope. Like, you just putting all these little minor things together and trying to create this big picture about who he is. I don't want to hear nothing about the case, the name change, or anything else related to Dr. Cruz for that matter. And she doesn't like, listen, this could potentially harm the firm. Like, he is a liability to me, to you, the firm, to everybody he comes into contact with, and we should take this seriously. Of course, Benson still doesn't want anything to do with it. So much so that he advises her, like, girl, you too far out of the line. You get too big for your britches. And if this ain't the place for you, if you can't shut up and color inside the lines like the rest of us, maybe Benson and Associates, or whatever the name of the place is not for you. So now she's in another predicament when it comes to being at this damn law firm, girl. And this the lesson here is that's the price you pay when you're trying to be in these white folk spaces. You should have created your own law firm, because, girl, at some point you got to go along to get along, whether you're a partner or not. Because, honestly, keep it in mind, there's 2 other partners. The third partner passed away, I think, last season, and you're the only minority. You're the only outlier when it comes to 2 partners and you. You're always going to be outnumbered. Just is what it is. Moving right along. We see Sabrina gloating about her, Dr. Feelgood, whatever, talking to Maurice about it, and we can kind of see that she's not really catching feelings, but she's doing that thing well where she's trying not to make him stay a booty call. She's trying to, Maurice can see in her eyes like she's trying to make dinner reservations so she can get to know him better, and that's not why we're here. And Maurice reminds her of that fact, like, girl, he's just here for a good time, not a long time. We don't need all that. Child, mind you, I didn't realize until somebody said it on the internet the other day that that's Danny's cousin, Mr. Rock, that just got out of prison. And I just want to know, the question I want to know is, how in the hell did he get on this premier invite-only dating website? That's all I want to know. And I hope at some point somebody asks the question because, sir, or were you in jail for scamming? Because if you were in jail for scamming, then I can kind of understand how you were able to circumvent the system. I don't know, but it was interesting to see how he just popped up on that website and you ended up with Sabrina of all people. Interesting. All right. We see Paige's brother, don't remember his name just yet, but he shows up with a vision board set that he created to go over with Maurice. And Maurice is like, I thought you had money. He was like, I do, but we both seemed unsure of our futures and our lives, in our drunken conversation last night. So I want to, offer each other some guidance and we could kind of reassess our situations together. And Maurice is like, oh, I'd love nothing more. And Paige is looking like, what y'all got going on? And so, now Maurice has a new little thing going on with Paige's brother. Even though I will say we didn't get a complete closure when it came to the other dude that he met on the other, I don't remember, the dude from last season that we met, and he wanted Maurice to stop being a video cam girl, if you know what that is. And then he started moving in, and I think he had a key. Like, I don't know. There was no closure on getting rid of him, or there was no storyline to getting rid of him. Let's say that. Anyway, Danny is confronting Tony yet again about this place is a mess. You've done nothing productive today. Ain't no lunch in here. Ain't no dinner in here. You done ate all my food. There's half-eaten food all over my place. I'm sick of it. And he's basically barely here when she's saying, she's like, oh, well, it's your fault. Basically, it's your fault because you got off early. I was just about to do it. It's very convenient. I was just about to get it done, even though you didn't do it the day prior, either when it looked a mess, but whatever. Then he tells her that he's been thinking long and hard in his days of unemployment, and he's thinking about renting his house out and moving in with her. And he's also gone as far as to already list the house, and he has some people interested in actually renting the place. And Danny saw it done, chat. She got her pocketbook, she got her things, and she headed out the door without even a word. She ain't say nothing else. She just left like a thief in the night. And same, because you didn't even give me the courtesy of asking if you wanted to move in here. And we ain't talk about the bills, how this thing is gonna be split, what's your contribution, because you're not just about to be couch surfing in here, even though you collecting a little bit of money off the rent check. Like, what do we got going on? But child, he's already made a decision, so we'll deal with that next week or the week after, whenever they come back. All right. Fatima's nurse calls her, or somebody from the doctor's office calls her to tell, like, hey, I thought we had already discussed the birth plan, but we talked to your fiance, and he told us, you want to do the water birth, and we're not doing the hospital birth. I just wanted to confirm. And Fatima's like, no, ma'am. Things will go as they had already been pre-planned. I said I want to be in a hospital and my female nurse will deliver this baby. And that's just the long and the short. And while we're here, don't be making my medical decisions through anybody other than me. And so now we got to address this. All right. So Andy goes to Fatima to tell her what Benson said about the case against Dr. Cruz. And Fatima's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. He's a bottom line type of guy. No nonsense. Like, if it don't make money, it ain't making sense type of person. So maybe we'll figure this out another way. And Andy's telling Fatima, like, girl, I don't care nothing about what Benson's talking about. We're going to still pursue this thing, but we're going to do it on the down low. Mind you, this was already supposed to be on the down low. So Andy, how much lower down are you trying to go? I'm not sure, but whatever. And then I got annoyed because just earlier in the day you told Fatima, she was spread too thin and her priorities were in too many different places, and her loyalty is to you, and she's supposed to be doing work for the law firm, not her little side quest, which would be the basketball people. Like, that's a conflicting message, because you're asking her, she's already doing some pro bono stuff working with the basketball players. Now you want her to do even more pro bono stuff to work with you on this Benson case that's undercover. That ain't law firm business, sister. But whatever. Hopefully she's called out for that, because that really irritated me. Either way, then she wants to put her homegirl hat on because she sees there's something that's bothering Fatima. And Fatima's like, nah, I'm good. I'm good, girl. Mind you, you just spent all day telling that girl she wasn't loyal and her attention is elsewhere. Like, she done took some hits today from your mouth. And so now you want to put your friend girl hat back on when it's time to get into business and see what's going on. Fatima pays you dust. She's like, no, girl, I'm good. Like, I'm okay, and I really need to talk about. Even if she really wanted to, she knows, like, hey, there's a line that's been drawn, and until that line, is resettled, I'm good. And Fatima just tells her, like, no, I'm fine. She's like, oh, but don't work too hard. Earlier in the day, you told her she wasn't working hard enough. Come 5 o'clock. Now she don't work too hard. Again, conflicting message, but whatever. All right. So we see Aaron. He gets home with groceries or whatever, and Karen and the baby are not present. Him and her mom have no idea where she was. Mom went to take a nap, and we assume she went for a walk. So they call her. Her phone and her keys are at the house. So everybody's in panic mode. She's not supposed to be driving. Her and the baby are gone. So you go from not even wanting to have anything to do with the baby to both of y'all are now missing. So everybody's on high alert. We're calling. We're sending out the cab. We're trying to figure out what's going on. In the meantime, okay, let me go back to Karen. I got to know it here. Because her mama was taking a nap. The apartment's not that big. Girl, you didn't hear the door close. You didn't hear the baby whining. You already knew that this lady probably had postpartum depression. As a mother yourself, you probably got some inclination in knowing that lady has postpartum depression. So to go from not wanting to have anything to do with the baby to being left alone for however long your nap was, don't know if that was the smartest move. I can see it. That's her baby. She should be able to be left alone with him. Maybe not. Maybe she's not there yet. Maybe you should gauge and determine her mindset a little bit longer before leaving her unsupervised, even though that's her baby. But whatevs. All right. Zach has gotten drunk as a skunk and is making a scene down to the bar. He's at the happy hour and Rich is with him. And he's like, drinks on me, bring 2 more beers. And Rich is like, don't bring him nothing else. He's done. And he kind of calls Sabrina from Zach. Well, he does call Sabrina from Zach's phone. And he's like, don't hang up. Zach is drunk as hell. I need to get him home, but I don't know the address. And she's like, okay, I'll text you the address. And he's like, thank you. She's like, boy, bye. Y'all have fun with that. Leave me alone. Okay. We see Chaz, and he calls Fatima to let her know what happened with Zach in the last episode, and the purse and everything else that he was confronted about, and blah, blah, blah. Now she's got to run interference on him trying to make medical decisions on her behalf, him having a problem with Chaz, and now being drunk in the middle of the afternoon. Because Sabrina then calls her to tell her, like, hey, just a heads up, Rich is taking Zach home. He's drunk as hell. He done got drunk as a skunk down to the happy hour. One more thing for this lady to deal with, even though she should not be under such high stress because of this baby. On the Zatima franchise, they had already told her, keep your levels low. It appears that might have been after because she's a little further along on that series, but just wanted to mention that. Okay, Danny and Sabrina are at happy hour, and somehow Danny invited her cousin Rock, Dr. Rock is who he claims to be, down to the happy hour, and we see that now Sabrina's finding out that her doctor is not really a doctor, and her and Danny are mortified because she showed Danny her little souvenir, which would be his manhood, right? And now everybody's disgusted, everybody's confused, and everybody's trying to figure out what the is going on. And Danny tells Sabrina, like, hey, my cousin ain't no doctor. He just got out of prison, girl. He lying. And he trying to get her to go along with the foolishness. And Danny ain't going for it. Sabrina ain't going for it. So he exits stage left as quickly as he got there. And so Aaron calls them and lets them know, like, well, I'll get back to that part. Either way, we all now know that Dr. Rock is not a doctor and there's some bullshit that's going on. All right, so we finally get to the knockdown drag out that was bound to happen between Fatima and Zach. And she finally confronts Zach in the midst of him being hungover from getting shit-faced at brunch, happy hour, whatever. And he is confronting her. You got confrontations, I got confrontations. We all confronting each other. Ain't nobody really listening because we dumping all our grievances on the table at one time and we'll shuffle through the rest. Got it. So he is mad about the purse and she's mad at his behavior. And then he asked her, and then she's like, well, listen, it was a purse, and you know, it's rich clients do that all the time. They give gifts, whatever. It's just kind of, it's nothing to rich people that they do that all the time, which I understand. I didn't think it was a big deal because I even ended up giving the stuff away. No problem. And he's like, oh, because you got it like that? She was like, no, I don't need the stuff. I don't have anything to do with that. Then he goes on to ask her if she cheated on him, and she was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? How did we get here? Because somebody said something to me, unprovoked, unasked for. What? Now he's trying to reduce her to some sort of groupie. He's like, well, if you like ball players, just say that. Like $6,000 is a lot to spend on a thank you gift to somebody. Maybe for you, but if you got billions, 6,000 probably feels like 20. Just saying. Anyway, she's like, listen, like she said, she gave all the other gifts away. She didn't think it was a big deal, blah, 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 blah. And then he tells her that Fatima is lacking in communication, even though she's been trying to get him to communicate about his emotions with the loss of the baby and everything else for as long as we've been going through this season. Anyway, then he confronts her about the doctor. Then she confronts him about the doctor calling, and he's like, listen, all I did was tell him that we are exploring more options. And she's like, we ain't exploring shit. I said I want to have a hospital birth. I made a decision. It's your baby, but it's my body. And he's like, we ain't had no protest in Alabama. She's like, nah, it's not funny. I'm telling you. I feel what you're saying, but you don't have to carry the baby. While you have an opinion, you don't have a decision. Okay? All right. Now, we get through that, and he's like, okay, cool. You done said everything you felt. Have you voiced all of your concerns? Did you say everything that's on your chest? And she's like, yeah, what else you want to know? And then he confronts her about the conversation that he overheard with Danny, and she's walking away from him, and it stops her dead in her tracks. Because first of all, she didn't know he overheard her, and she had already felt bad enough for even thinking it. However, here we are. And he thinks that he perceived it as her being overjoyed at the fact that his baby, you know, is going on to be with the king, and that she's more than happy that the baby died and that she won't have to deal with Karen anymore. Which I wouldn't say happy, but I think she's relieved that she does not have to deal with her in such a intimate and consistent capacity. Understandable. Fatima has been in this thing since you and Karen were on again, off again, breaking up, riding the bicycle, going through the rings. She was there. She was patient. She understood that you were coming out of this thing, even when you still had feelings for Karen, like everything that's going on. She took it on the chin. So, of course, that is a relief to know, like, okay, now we can breathe when it comes to this person and this situation. It's not going to be as in-depth as, hey, having to manage a child and co-parent with two people that already don't have good sense. So, well, three people, because now Fatima would had to have been intimately involved. Okay. And she reminds him, like, listen, I was supportive, like I said, throughout this whole thing from beginning to now. Of course, I feel away. And he accuses her of deflecting, and, you know, we don't really get a resolution, but they going back and forth. Blah, 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 blah. So she's storming out of the house. She was like, man, I'm finna go. He's like, where you going? None of your damn business. You done pissed me off. I'm finna go. And as she's storming out, Chaz comes pulling up to the front door, and he has people with him. It doesn't look like he's there to fight, but I also feel like, do you want to fight? Because the block is hot and you're at my house. So, of course, we don't get a resolution this episode. We're going to have to deal with this again later on. Gary shows up and he's in Andy's penthouse. So, of course, we'll have to see him. He claims he's coming in peace in the previews for next episode. So, we'll see what happens with that. Aaron and his mama, they haven't been able to find Cameron. Nobody that they've reached out to, you know, in the friend circle has not seen or heard from her either. And then Aaron finds a note in the apartment. And then we jump to him talking to Danny and Sabrina on the phone, letting them know, like, hey, nobody has been able to locate Karen and the baby, and we haven't seen her. And she left a note. And they're like, okay, well, what does the note say? Well, the note says that I can't do this anymore. It's time to end this chapter and start a new one. Now, sounds real final. It reads real final. Not sure. I hope not. She left with nothing. So I don't know if maybe she hitched a ride. I don't know what the situation could be without knowing what the episode is next week, where you will leave your phone and your car keys. Like, did y'all go up to the roof of the apartment complex? I have no idea. Hopefully we'll figure it out in one episode. I don't have the capacity for this to go on for the whole rest of the season, but now they're missing and we got to find her. Hopefully the postpartum depression did not get the best of them. Like she was saying, what was she saying earlier that I needed to come back to is that, everything's going to be okay. Like, is it okay? Like, hey, we don't have to worry about anything anymore because we're about to get up out of here. Like, we going to be with them. Or is she like, maybe she took the baby to the grief counseling thing, kind of how the doctor recommended it to her with that brochure. I don't know. I'm hoping it's the latter and she's just, taking a scroll and forgot her phone in the haste and getting up out of there. I don't know. That's just my hope. Either way, that is it. That's been season 9, episode 11. Let me know what you think about it. Let's talk about it in the comments. We'll talk about it there. In the meantime, I'll see y'all in the next one. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or whatever it is that you feel like doing. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.